Okay, Nino. Welcome, Nino.
Hello. Hi. Good evening,
Hello.
all.
Yeah, I'm sorry because what was muted. Speaking about you a lot, but muted. Thank you.
Was it?
Thank you, Nino, for joining. And Nino is, so first of all, is a friend of mine. The second point is that Nino is the president of DAMA Italy, my president, because I am associated in DAMA Italy too, not only in the board of DAMA Spain. Second one, it's the person in charge of Fit Academy, that it's official rep of DAMA, and not only for DAMA, maybe for the EDM Council too. I understand that today. And it's the person in charge of organization of the EMEA in DAMA, Europe. DAMA. Okay, Nino. I don't want to speak too much about you. Maybe it's time to speak about your presentation.
Of course. No, thank you,
Thank you for
Michele.
joining.
Well, no, a pleasure, and thank you very much for organizing this event, which is something I was looking for, and I'm very happy to meet all the participants and to share a bit of our experience. Michele, just are you going to project those slides, or do you want me to
No,
to share my screen?
you.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, present you now.
Okay, so just give me half a sec, because and while I find them, well, Michele spoke already. Please let me know when you can see the slide. Okay. Okay. Can you just confirm? Can you see it?
Yes.
That's great. Well, Michele already did the bit of the presentation. I think as I think you have heard on the first day about DAMA, and from Loretta, who is our past president, and a little bit about the initiative and what DAMA is about. So we'll skip that part. And I will dive into one of the activity that has been undertaken by DAMA Italy, and we are looking and we are collaborating, discussing with Michele and the DAMA Spain, and potentially to the broader EMEA region. Europe, by EMEA we mean European, Middle East, and Africa region. I'm currently have the pleasure to help coordinate these multinational activities. One of these activities that was undertaken in Italy, and as I said, with my wish to replicate in other countries or do it a combined version with the PAN areas, is this survey, which we did in 2020, and it was focused on the bank sector in Italy. And specifically, we used, to give a little bit of the assumption, we used the DAMA framework, specifically the DMBOK 2 framework, to assess the maturity level of the banking system or the various banks within Italy. Just to touch quickly on the process of this research, of this survey, it was what this slide portrays are those 5 steps. So the first one was defining the scope, define the boundaries of what we were trying to do and the methodology. So the 2 main directive of this analysis was one, the data management overarching maturity level against the DMBOK framework, and the second one was the data monetization element of it, also known as infonomics, as well as others. So these were the 2 main areas of research. How we did it via an hybrid research methodology, and by this what we mean is an hybrid is a mix of qualitative and quantitative. So we had a qualitative focus group or interview where we were discussing directly with the practitioner from the various banks that were taking part of this survey, as well as following this first qualitative assessment based on a set of pre-agreed and developed questions. With something more quantitative. So we had follow-up online surveys that enabled us also to enlarge the quantity of data we could collect. The bank that participated to this first survey in 2020 were 9, and which are the one portrayed at the center of the slide, as well as a collaboration with Abilab. For those who do not know, Abilab is the Associazione Banche Italiane, which means is the association that grouped together all the bank in Italy. So we decided to join force with them to ensure we could engage and we could reach out to those parties that were interested. And between DAMA Italy and Abilab also we formalized this first work together via this process. What we did with the findings were analyzed. We had a committee, a scientific committee elected within the members of DAMA Italy, which we used to review the finding from the quantitative analysis and also to decide how to produce the structure, the framework for the structure for the report we were going to issue at the end of it, which was then the last outcome of this sort of process. So to give you, as we are talking about data, let me give you some very high-level data. Pretty much we had this focus group interview, the qualitative bit involved 30 practitioners from the various banks. Overarching were 35, roughly more than 30 hours of direct interview, was roughly 2.5 hours per interview. And to give you also an idea of the size of this 9 banking, probably is more interesting is the coverage. And this was, we had an average there about 36.5. In reality, it varies between 50% and probably 25%, depending how you count the bank sector. So if it's in the number of revenue or in terms of monetization of the bank, or the financial volume moved, or the number of employees, or the number of how you say, of sites, of branches. So which is, I think, just as an aside, is almost a nice potential discussion about what is business glossary. So we had a data definition example in there. And the overall work took roughly 9 months. So it started in February, March last year, and ended toward the end of it. It was presented in November. So let's now dive into what were the findings. And 2 things to say. I would assume, but for those that have not attended first, what you see on the left side is what we refer to as the DAMA wheel, which is the 11 knowledge areas that form the data management framework as defined by the DAMA, Data Association Management Community. And as you can see, there is in the middle the data governance. The other areas are, to an extent, roughly split between business area and more ICT area. So we go from elements such as the business intelligence to the data operation, which is another data storage and operation. We are referring to the database, to the data integration, ETL, ELT, to the more advanced one as a BI and data warehouse, to those more business focused, such as the data quality, the metadata management, the data governance itself, and the data quality. So those 11 areas together is what we refer as the framework. And against those 11 knowledge areas is where we assessed the maturity of this banking. The result you can see on the right side is, to an extent, in a nutshell, it was a reconfirmation of what you could have expected from a high disciplined, highly regulated and environment such as the one from banking. So we know there are plenty of regulation from the Basel Committee regulation, GDPR, MABS 235, and so on. So highly regulated sector, so certain elements such as data storage, data security, as you could see, scored obviously very high, as well as element again about the database, and also it represents quite a maturity respect to other sectors in those disciplines such as data quality and metadata. On the other hand, it also shows that there are other areas that are possibly more recognized within certain systems, such as the data modeling, that scored very low, which is very well known, especially when you talk about the physical data model within the ICT sector. within the ICT departments, but much less so when you talk about the wider organization. So elements that we will see in just the next slide are much less known, as well as the reference and master data, which again didn't score very well, and the document and content management, I think, were the three areas we would have expected a more mature environment. The other element that scored quite low was the big data and data science. In this case, it was for a different reason. It wasn't because there wasn't a knowledge of it or an acknowledgement of the existence of it, but just because possibly it is a little bit newer as a discipline. And I know someone may argue this is big data is already 10 years old, but within the sector, within a big sector, this is initiative about enablers such as big data, artificial intelligence, machine learning. There were a few initiatives, but are still at the embryonic stage. So different from data modeling, in this case, it's more about there is a lot of attention, a lot of focus, but it has not yet been so well developed. And what we highlighted on the three dotted yellow circle on the left side is just because we decided to develop the report I mentioned before. That was the outcome of this survey. Especially we had a deep dive on those three areas for specific reason, because we found, again, on the data quality, very well developed. Again, there is a regulation that were at the basis of this high level of maturity. And data governance, because whilst we've seen a level of maturity within this sector, we saw it very reactive. So again, reactive to the regulation mainly and other laws, rather than be proactive. And by this, what we mean is it wasn't data governance yet considered as a strategic or economical advantage or an enabler for competitive advantage, but it was more a reaction. So we thought these were two interesting points, as well as the modeling, which I've already mentioned earlier. So I think the six, apologies, I haven't translated those last six insights, but I think should be quite self-explanatory or easy to translate. So the six elements that we put were the modello concettualidad, which is the conceptual data model. As I mentioned before, IT, very well understood, the modeling of data to set up a database or else. But outside the IT department, there wasn't really an understanding. And for the DAMA framework, we speak about logical data model, we speak about conceptual data model, especially as a communication tool. And ultimately also the basis, the data model for those more sexier discipline that a lot of people speak nowadays, such as the digital twin. So digital twin is another way, to an extent, to discuss about modeling and in general about digitalization. So we consider the lack of or a potential area for improvement, definitely the conceptual data model. The second element we wanted to raise attention was the data X. What we mean by data X is that within all the company we encounter, there were different definitions of data owner, data steward, data engineer. And what we found, this is confusing within a organization, and even more so when you replicate that wider. So when you start to speak about that, the 9 banking, probably we had at least, I don't know, as a minimum 9 different definitions of the same person. So we found there are definitions within the inbox, but this is something that the community, the broader data management community, should take as a challenge to standardize some of these names, is what we feel. Everybody knows what is a business glossary. A lot of people have implemented data glossary, data dictionary. So why not to start with the data roles standardization? And from that, you lead to the following step, which is formazione e professionalizzazione. This is about learning and development and education. So once you have identified these new roles, some of these are very new roles, such as, just let's think about data scientist. And again, there may be an issue about the definition of what a data scientist is or does, but this is a different topic. But once you have defined those roles and it's clearly understood and throughout the company and the global or the wider community, what is the professionalization, what is the teaching, what is the training for these people, as some of these people will need to be reskilled because of existing resources, other will be capabilities or that you will need to find from the outside. And moving to the last 3 points, the gestione etica dei dati, this is the ethical handling of data. I took out from this presentation something that may be mentioned earlier today or yesterday by Mike Merton from EDM Council. And I just described that, but in a survey they undertook in 2020, over 300 companies were surveyed. And what they found is that when the banking sector in general terms is always perform higher than other sectors in in every discipline and area, with the exception of one, which is ethics. And this for various reasons. Again, this is probably a presentation altogether on a different stage. But the ethical, the data handling ethics strategy is something we are quite sure it will become the next big thing that banks need to address if they haven't done already so. And then the DAMA knowledge hidden area, which were, as I already mentioned before, the master reference data, not so well known within the company we interviewed. And obviously, we all know about the importance of this critical data and critical categorization of data, as well as a positive note about what we call apripista, which is I cannot find the sort of leading company or the bright not the challenge, but kind of very good example of initiatives, especially in terms of the artificial intelligence, and some bank was exemplary in their data community. So the way that a internal data community has been set up with all the benefits that this leads, and a really top-down and bottom-up approach. So we also, outside from this survey, we found very good example of highly performing individuals and banking. So I think I finished my 10 minutes. I hope I haven't overrun too much. If there is any further curiosity or interest about the survey itself, unfortunately it's in Italian, so well, for all of those that speak Italian or are very good on Google Translator, we can provide the presentation if of interest. And in terms of next step, we will run again this survey for the banking sector this year, just to see where they moved from last year to this year. But we also wanted to expand to other sectors, especially this year will be the multi-utilities and the insurance company. So we can have a horizontal, if you want, analysis or benchmark between sectors, and also benchmark within the banking sector last year versus this year.
Okay, thank you, Nino. You know that I like a lot this initiative. I want to make the same in Spanish, in Spain, because I think it's a good form to promote the framework, and I think it's a great action. Thank you for your speech. I don't know if there is some guys from the attendees that want to make a question to Nino. Please, Bright, or open your microphone, because we are not so much at the end of the summit today. Yesterday was full of person. Today we are very little, but very strong. No question?
I was too good.
Yes, I think your presentation was very, very focused and fine. You know, thank you for joining. And
maybe Michele, Michele,
yes,
a quick question to Nino. So in the approach that has been taken, so it's a similar approach when you are coming into a large organization and focusing on a single large organization, or is let's say is different? So can we use this as a typical example of implementing the methodology?
Okay,
in tourism, that it's your sector, I think.
Okay, I think the honest answer, this is a light touch survey because consider has been done by DAMA and we are a voluntary association. So when I was telling you before, it was an online survey with roughly, I think, 30 or 40 questions, which could be used, but as broad as people want in the banking. But the interview itself was a sentiment interview. And by sentiment interview, what we mean is we didn't do an audit. So if you were telling me, I have a data strategy, that's it. I don't challenge that. And it was a 2 hours and a half with 3 or 4 people from the banking. Now, if I had to do a proper data management assessment, it would be something much deeper than that to really be able to better understand. Now obviously, it is a fine balance how deep you want to go, but still what we did, it was very light touch. So I think you give an indication because to add to that, we didn't see much discrepancy. We didn't see really something that someone say, yeah, I never heard about it. Yes, this does make sense, or yes, full. So I think as a model, it's working, it's a good basis, it's good for light touch, it's good for broader, and for non-for-profit as DAMA, I think is something definitely replicable, improvable for sure. But if I had to do in my own company, I think that wouldn't be enough to give me the details I need. Give me the flavor, but not the details I need to act upon.
Okay, thank you very much.
Right.
That it's a very, very easy survey, just for have an idea how to do it better next year. Thank guys for joining. Was a fantastic experience for me. Do it the summit in English. Next appointment will be in October in Spanish edition. That would be in Spanish only, and in November in Italian edition. If the COVID situation will be better, probably we'll be try to realize an hybrid event with some people in some place in Madrid and Milan, and the rest the people join online. But so at the moment we don't want to risk nothing about that. But in the case we have some agreement with Deloitte for doing the event in Deloitte Greenhouse in Madrid and Deloitte Greenhouse in Milan. But so the important thing is that if you are outside Spain, outside Italy, you can join by online, but will be in Spanish in Spain, in Italian, in English. I don't have, want to thank especially Nico for the technical part and the intelligence partner. It's our tech partner that we be careful about the summit, the technical part. I want to thanks all the speakers.
Okay, it was a pleasure, Michele.
Okay, I want to thank Chema, that it's the person in charge about the partnership in Spain, and Katia, that it's the person in charge in sponsorship in Italian edition. Mario, so I see a lot of faces of friends. I want to thank you for your time. And if the event, try to support the event if you want speaking about the event in LinkedIn, because it's a good option for have some success. It has more people, because the thing that we want to do is to have more audience for have more knowledgement to share. Okay, guys, thank you. I think it's, I don't know if you want to add something, but I'm very, very tired now. I think it's a, remember the survey, this is very important for us. Okay, thank you guys. Have a good evening or good night in the case of Europe, and see you in October in DMS Spain, in November in DMS Italy, or international edition maybe next year. Okay, thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Thanks.
Thank you, Michele. See you.
Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.